Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us on our 16th meetup for the M8. I don't know what today's topics will be, but we'll figure it out as need be. I know that one excellent user has a cool bunch of presets that they want to share, and we have some songs to play back. And I could tell you about some production updates, but none of them are super exciting. So I guess I should start with that. The last week or two, I've been just unboxing travel cases and putting cables and the printed card and the stickers and that whole thing, and then re-zipping them up, making sure everything's okay. Just doing pre-production, trying to make it so as soon as I receive the circuit boards that it'll go as quickly as humanly possible to get the boxes out to people. Especially going over the serial numbers in the cases, it enables me to, there's going to be some failures in the batch, obviously. Like so far I found like one travel case that had the zipper on backwards. And I'm like, should I just put that one aside, or do you think the customer would notice? I don't know. So I put it aside, and I'll figure it out later. Some of the aluminum enclosures, sometimes they get the boxes. You know how DHL or UPS treat their boxes? So sometimes there's a little ding in them, and I put those enclosures aside when I find a ding. So I'm trying to figure out what the numbers will be post everybody that placed a pre-order. Currently, the failure rate is fairly below what my cutoff was for pre-orders, which is good. But it's all about figuring out what the number will be for opening up orders past the pre-order. So I've said it in the past, but for those that don't know, it's all about the failure rate to determine how many of those units will be able to be opened for anybody else to order. All that stuff is still tentatively scheduled for September or October, depending on when I get the assembled circuit boards back, which you all know I'm waiting on. I discussed it on our last meetup. Yeah, and so Mikey said you could always B-stock any cosmetically damaged units, and of course that's an option, but at the end of the day, I'd rather everybody have a gleaming, shiny, perfect unit. But it really depends on the numbers. Yeah. So it's a numbers game, especially with such small volume that I'm doing. And, it's funny too, because in my mind it's a large volume, but in the terms of production of things, it's fairly trivially small. So I don't get especially with, I watched the, what is that called? The Steam handheld. What was that called?
Right, the Steam Deck.
Steam Deck. There we go. I watched that release and I'm like, oh, wow, their prices. Yeah. I'm like, wow, it must be nice to produce units in the tens of thousands, if not hundreds, because there's no way I could ever match that price as far as like what I'm doing. Obviously, it's a different kind of product, but they're both handhelds and they both run software. So
you think they already have all the parts sourced? Because that's a pretty it's pretty bold of them to just go willy-nilly with
I'm sure.
Pre-orders.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. I think their first experience, at least from my perspective, their first experience in hardware was dealing with the first set of Vives, the HTC Vive, the first version. I think Valve is the ones that actually manufacture that, unless I'm confusing something. And HTC was the distributor. So I'm pretty sure they know what they're doing, at least far more than than myself. So, but it's the same thing across the board. Like I understand that. I understand when people say like, "Oh, M8, it sounds cool, but it's kind of expensive." why is it so expensive? It's a handheld, and what they don't realize is at very small quantity in specialized hardware with trying to do the highest quality you can, it's actually pretty expensive. Especially that I'm based out of Los Angeles and everything else. Um, it's not a cheap fare. You know, if you compare it to like a Chinese game system, like they didn't do, you know, they modified like some pre-existing software that already existed and they're just illegally pirating games onto it. You know, so they don't even have to worry about the software. And a lot of those devices are just copying each other's designs. So, you know, and on top of that, the actual physical stuff is cheaper because they're doing it in large quantity. So it's interesting, like how much I'm learning in this process as far as like how much things actually cost. Um, and the more I dive into it, the more I still hold to my belief that it would be nice if the world existed in a place where small manufacturers could exist to do cool stuff. And I'm grateful to be able to do that. And, you know, I'm not necessarily a believer in giant, large production runs for things that I think are artistic. So, in a perfect world, I kind of look at it like, like it's like the modern day version of an instrument maker. Um, you know, that's a little fantasy version of it, but in a way, I still think that's kind of true.
Yeah, I mean, it's a boutique item, and you are handcrafting it, or at least both with your brain and your actual hands, putting them together. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I actually enjoy doing the physical aspect of stuff, like doing the prepackaging and, you know, putting the serial numbers on and doing all that stuff by hand. I also enjoyed doing woodwork and stuff like that myself personally. So I kind of get a kick out of, you know, that kind of physical aspect to a device.
I remember when some of the designs had the wood veneer for the inside part of the device instead of the acrylic on the betas.
That was going to be laser cut. I wouldn't have done that by hand. But yeah. Yeah, yeah, I just appreciate stuff that's done by hand. And I know that stuff done at large scale is also done by hand, but it's a little bit more disconnected from the original manufacturer, you know. And along that makes things more affordable for people that can afford it. So in that way, it's also good. So I'm not really dogging anybody for their process of production. I think it's just the nature of the world we live in. But I do appreciate small scale things, and, you know, I just wish it'd be a little bit smoother on my end and I could give you specific dates and them actually working out. Yeah.
Someone in chat asks, out of curiosity, how large is the run? Is that something you're comfortable telling?
No. It's under 1,000 units for this run. My Patreon at the time that I started to work on production after we did the beta units was around 330. So judging by that, one could deduce that you know, if you would be dumb to only produce 300 units, and it would be kind of silly to only do 500. So I also have to take into account a large failure percentage because this is the first run, and this is a lot of it's done by hand or figuring production out. So I made sure to have enough buffer to make sure that any pre-orders that were placed would be fulfilled. So, yeah. I don't know why I'm not super comfortable with it. I think, you know, it's just one of those things. I guess in part I worry about backlash, like somebody doing the math and are like, you're making $1 billion off of this production because the parts only cost me $3 or something ridiculous. That's not necessarily based in reality, you know. And then me constantly having to defend myself and disclose every single piece of financial information, even though that is not public to begin with. And if I was making $1 million, I would be working for a big corporation and not trying to do something myself out of the love of it. So, I just try to make sure that I price things accordingly so that the software can still be supported when units are sold. And because I not only have to calculate how much it costs per unit, I have to calculate all of the fees, licenses, the FCC license, FCC and CE certifications, and the battery certification, and all that stuff, and then the tax stuff on top of that. I also have to calculate in the next run of units and making sure that I'm making enough income so I could support myself and the next run of parts that I need to purchase to keep the production running. So it's a lot of guesstimation and hoping that everything works out correctly. And my per unit cost is like insane. Like I would imagine that like I was looking at that Steam device and I was like, wow, I bet you their production cost has to be like $15 or something. It's got to be like absurdly low by comparison to how much I'm spending. But that's the nature of the beast. So, but I'm used to paying these kind of costs as a musician because I'm used to buying boutique. And those that are used to buying boutique are also used to that. And everybody else, they're not. And they're like, wait a minute, I could buy like a Behringer thing or whatever, and not realizing that there's a difference in terms of scale and costs. So, enough about me. So what should we cover today? Because we haven't really figured that out.
There was some talk about song structure, at least for like fully fleshed out tracks. Um, Not exactly sure how we'd go over that, though. I guess you could just look at some fully fleshed out tracks.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I don't know how to go over that because there's so many different takes on it.
Yeah. We did a stream where I think one of the earlier streams we talked about arrangement and structure. I think I went over that where how at least for me where I divide like my percussive tracks over from 5 to 8 and my melodic and bass stuff on 1 through 4. You'll even see that on my demo track. I still sort it that way for a multitude of reasons. But I think that's a place to get started. But as far as like actual song structure, the best way I find is start with the loops you like. You got one nice couple bars of music, and then just using that deep clone function, and then just altering it, like whether it's percussion, changing up the percussion, maybe changing up the melody, but still making it based off the original one. So you're making iterations. Before you know it, you have a bridge section and a B-side section that still connect back to the original stuff that you wrote. So that's how I do a lot of my music. So that's a recommendation I have, especially if you're somebody who has a hard time structuring full tracks and gets loop locked, as a lot of us say. Especially like you get loop locked. You get one really nice loop and then you have no idea what to do with it. The best option is to just do a good old deep clone and just iterate and just make lots of different iterations, and something will stick.
I know what I do is when I used to make music before I started this project, this is me being a jerk, is I would like everybody else, you create a 4-measure or 8-measure loop, and then you get caught in the loop, and you don't know how to break it. And in M8, there's ways around that. Hold on, let me make sure my sound is working and not super loud. that working for everybody? Or not?
I heard it. I heard it.
So let's say like that this is a little loop I made. And I want to make a new like section to it. One could just like paste, that in and then make alterations. But of course, I say of course to us that know, is instead I make a copy of that and I place it like somewhere else in the song, and I make it completely separated from the rest of the song. Let me just maybe do that. There we go. And then I make alterations to the point where it sounds like a totally different progression if I don't know where I want to go. I basically remix that whole little loop until it's something completely different. And then I'll paste it in, above. And then I'll work in a transition to make them both work. That's kind of like if you're working off of the user input versus using a real instrument or a keyboard or something. I guess that's kind of the way to go about doing it, but I don't know. I feel like some of this discussion, like I'm confused by the question because I don't know if we're talking about M8 specifically or songwriting in general,
Yeah, that kind of goes into music production and philosophy and all that good stuff.
Because I mean, me personally, like if anybody's ever heard my music before, it's basically a intro, verse, chorus, bridge, kind of structure. It's very rock, 3.5 minute structure. But that's because the medium that I wanted to do it in was of that structure. So I think that is just the take on what I was doing at the time. There's many different ways of going about it. If you're doing a vinyl record, obviously you have a completely different song structure than if you're doing a radio song. I'm using really big quotes in the air that you can't see. But in M8, I guess, I could like take this little loop and start altering it. I'm just, y'all have to bear in mind that I haven't really worked on music very much in the last couple months, but I could try to come up with something new here if you want me to. So what I just did there, if you didn't realize, I hit a selection point and then I hit select. Hold on, let me adjust my virtual M8 here. Whoa, there we go. There we go. So what I did is I held, I held shift and I hit start or play, depending on what that is. In a selection, it'll just start looping that region. So what I could do with that is just start figuring out a different progression that works with whatever this is. I don't know. What I'm going to do is do a clone, not a deep clone, which is just holding down shift and hitting option to get in selection mode. You see the selection there, and then I hit option edit, and it says right there, clone the chain. So now I can make edits to this chain without affecting the rest of the song, but the phrases are still the same old phrases. Went over this before, but just in case people didn't watch it, if I wanted it to have all these phrases be unique, I would hit shift, hit option, and then edit one more time. And now all these are unique. But here I'm going to do something new. Looks like I used, yeah, the macro synth. This is kind of the old way of doing chords to me, because normally nowadays I use the FM synth. There we go. So I'm adjusting this parameter, the color parameter, to do the chords, because this specific macro synth is a triple saw. And I guess that's how I did the chords in this line that you hear. I'm going to change that one. I don't know if that's going to work, but I'll try it. Yeah, that'll work. So I'm going to... This is just a really crappy example. Sorry, everybody, but yeah. Just showing you how to do a variation, I guess. Let's see. Let's do maybe that. I think that's the bass synth. That's a weird, really weird line. Hold on. Let me figure this out. This is a very old song that I made, or a little snippet of a song, so I'm just trying to figure out what I did. I see, it's on the offbeat. See what I did there as I started making a change to something that's not unique. I need to clone that before I start messing everything up.
Ooh, that's very Boards of Canada. Canada-y. Love it.
Sounds sick. I got an idea. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to delete this whole bass line and start from scratch and do completely different bass from scratch. I'm going to do an additive algorithm, which means each oscillator is independent from each other. They're not basically doing FM. I'm going to do basically a saw and a square sub bass, which is very much typical for a subtractive synth. So I just set the ratio of the square wave to half and the ratio of the saw to 1, and I'm going to mute these two other oscillators. And I should have a basic coloring to taste. Put an envelope on the cutoff because I'm going for least common denominator here. Just winging it. Oh, I got an idea. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just do this for tutorial. I'm going to use the table to do an octave bass, essentially, in theory. We'll see how it works. Nope. I'm setting the limiter to post because I want to kind of overdrive this a little bit. I'm just gonna do the bass line basic. Keep it, it's pretty much the same chord progression, so just gonna wing this. Hold on. This is gonna sound terrible, I know, but just bear with me. And since this thing is this is all new phrases because I deep cloned it, I'm gonna go ahead and clone this instrument to create a whole new instrument. So I'm gonna change all these to C. There we go. I don't know if there's any questions in the chats. I'm not watching them at the moment, so. A terrible host. Sevens. That's pretty much it, right? Yeah. I know it's a cheeky bass line with something that sounds kind of not really perfect, but let's just go with it. So I'm gonna change. I'm gonna clone. Whoa! I'm gonna deep clone this. I'm gonna change this up. I'm going to go ahead and also clone this instrument because I want to change this up severely, which requires me to do a bunch of work. It's okay. So I'm changing all the instruments to the new clone. To the new clone number, which is D. It's hilarious trying to talk over my own mess. Here. Wow, that's a lot of delay. I'm going to change the bass line to make it more intense. So what's great about this is so I made a complete clone, or I copied from 1 to this new 6 line, and they should sound pretty different. But what I can do is in real time, while it's playing back, hold down the left cursor, key, and hit start, and it'll play this line when I hit start on this line after this one. Okay, that sounds terrible, but you kind of get the idea. Is what one could do is totally destruct something that they liked, where they want to break their groove. Destruct it into something totally new and totally different. I didn't do enough here, but you know, I have a time crunch and people watching me. Um, but you kind of get the idea. Is what I would then do is I would, you know, if this was awesome sounding, then I would come in and I would paste it in, um, and now I have kind of a song structure that's starting to form. That's how I do it, and that's how I do it in other programs like Ableton, etc. Is I come up with different variations on the same song, or either with new instruments or new lines, and of course, changing the chord progression up to something that is different, and then bringing it, you know, figuring out how you transition from those different points of the song. I think it's pretty much the same as anything else. I think the takeaway here is that um, you could use like all this empty space to kind of sketch out new and interesting ideas. And the idea is, in order to totally break away from the rest of the song, is you insert basically a totally what this is. This FE chain in this song is it just is nothing but a kill command, so it mutes everything. So that way, if I hit play over here, you won't hear any of the other song. And that way I could kind of like create a new phrase or create a new chain, create a new phrase, and just start from scratch from this point, and create a whole different song idea. And if I wanted to blend the two, I could play back this section. And then on this section, if I want to hear what the transition sounds like, I could hold down the left arrow key and hit start or play or, yeah. And that would enable you to kind of work off of what you currently have without being destructive to what you have. Was that terrible? I don't know what I'm doing.
No, that's a good pro tip, especially with the wall of FE stuff, so that you can separate new ideas. Um, really, really helpful because I think sometimes people, I think a lot of newcomers will struggle where they're trying to come up with new ideas, and it's live mode's a little fiddly for trying to work on pieces here and there because you have to uncue things to stop them or go back into the song mode to stop them, and it can get frustrating. So knowing that they can set up a little wall like that is really helpful. I do it too, and imagine a lot of the more uh, experienced users do something similar. So it was really good that you showed it because I didn't even think about showing something like that. It's a really good, simple pro tip.
I mean, even in this, I reloaded this song, so it's back to its original state. But even in this song that I was starting to work on, you could, right here, I was actually creating something totally different based on that same
Yep.
theme.
Yeah. I could just tell just from the structure that you have there.
And then when something sounds good, you could just like create a whole line of all the things that you liked. So I'm just moving all these so they're all in the same line. I could take this, copy it, and then paste it right in there. So now I have those two pieces right next to each other. But yeah, I think for me, in terms of like I always get in the trap of creating a 4-bar or 8-bar loop and never breaking away from it. And the only method I found that works for me is to take one of the pieces that's happening, you know, paste it somewhere totally new, isolate it, and then create something, you know, create a new bass line, create a new drum line, like make the drums into a synth or a synth into the drums, whatever it takes to like create something totally unique that still carries the theme. And then once I have that, I paste it into the structure and then work out how to do that transition to make it work. But yeah. So speaking of Mikey, I really want to check out your instrument pack that you've been working on.
Oh yeah. You should play the song because it uses not all, but it uses a large portion of the instruments. So for context, yeah.
Switching SD cards
and then
here.
yeah, and then I'm gonna listen to it, but I'm gonna turn my mic off because I'll hear my voice when I talk. So we can play the song first. It's called Soul Seekers.
Thanks for the reminder. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and then yeah, I'm gonna turn my mic off so I can listen
Whoa,
to it
this
on
is a
Twitch.
long track. All right. I'm excited to
Yeah,
hear
it's like
this.
yeah. Oh, before you start, if you get bored, track 3, chain 30 is my little acid synth. You're more than welcome to play with the cutoff and the envelope 2 amount if you're getting bored with the track. That's I forgot to set
Wait,
up
could
the
you tell
touch
me that
screen for it.
again? So I might get bored and I might do something.
Yeah, if you get bored while you're listening to it, track 3 chain 30 is my little acid synth. You're welcome to go into the instrument and play with the cutoff and also the envelope amount. Um, I forgot to map it to the touchscreen,
Hmm.
so maybe I should do that. But that way you can kind of just sort of play with it while it's playing, because otherwise it's going to be very static.
I'm gonna ruin your track now if I
For
play with it.
for the final version of the song that when I play live, I replace that with my actual acid box. So, I'd be tweaking it live. Here it's very static, but yeah, just play with it if you want. But otherwise, the rest of the track is good to go. So I'm gonna turn my mic off.
Whoa, you did a fade out. That was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I yeah, there's another track that's not done yet, and I just decided to just include it for funsies. So I did a little fade out.
Yeah, I noticed
Thank you.
you bookmarked the track that was doing the fade out.
Yeah, I did a lot of bookmarks. I think I specifically made the bookmarks for this stream. So these
Oh,
are all things that I thought would be worth checking out, at least for the song. Um, but yeah, that's the song. And as you can see here, just quickly, you can see for each of the tracks 1 through 8, you see I started labeling them 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and then made iterations, and then they just kind of goes chaotic from there. But that's like generally how I get all that structure, so I know what I'm working on.
hmm.
And you'll see like on one of the bookmarks, there's like the 15 where I moved it to a different track because um, that's where the space was allocated for me to put it. Like I think 15. I think that's a little noise riser. And yeah, I had replaced the noise riser with yeah with like the chords and stuff. So yeah, I don't know exactly. See if people are interested in. Um, yeah, track 8. It's all the little FM hi hats. So for anyone who didn't read the chat, I made all the instruments in this, including all the drums. It's all synthesis, no samples used. It's all in the pack that I made that I'm gonna drop after this meetup. Um, yeah, most of it is FM synth. Additive mode is extremely good. Um, I know a lot of people are really excited about the cowbell. I actually modeled it after the 808 cowbell, which I guess you can tell.
I'm excited about the 303.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, there's my little 303 patch. You get best effects just playing with the either the envelope amount or the cutoff. Um, the table hop is for the accent, which is when an actual 303 has an accent, and that just kind of plucks the resonance and makes it a little bit more spiky, I guess. Someone wants to look at the the table. Yeah, that's all
So
it's
you're
doing.
using that as the accent trigger, I guess,
Yeah,
right?
so I have
Yeah.
I have the hop 0 there to just keep it from the accent from happening, and then that just pulls it to the accent and plucks it and turns it back off. And then the kills are just I found that particular kill amount is like spot on with how the 303 sequencer sounds. So yeah,
Sorry.
and you yeah no if you, and you could pop it over, yeah, and I have it on post, and you could crank up the amp
Oh,
to get it nice and distorted. Yeah, there you go.
can we make it a blood rave?
Yes, please.
That was a Blade reference. For those I don't know. Sweet. We could flip through the presets if you want, or
Sure. Let me. I'm going through my stuff. I wanted to see if there was anything else in these bookmarks that I wanted to show.
the comment out. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I think on track 8, 7E is just some FM hi hats, and yeah. Just it's just uh one instrument, and I just threw in some decay envelope amounts for the to differentiate between the open and the closed hi hat. Although I think later on I added a table hop as well to trigger an open hat. So something worth checking out.
Where now?
I'm sorry. On track 8, 7E, chain 7E.
All I see is numbers and
It's bookmarked.
letters.
It's one of the bookmarked ones.
I mean, I was
There it
on a
is.
7E, but yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. No, it's just a hi hat, and yeah, it's just the same instrument, and you can just add a little extra decay to give it the open hat sound.
Yeah, you're sequencing
That's
the
a nice little.
decay to do the openness. Yeah.
Yeah, I think later on, I think in
Like if I ruin your song here.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you can have like different kind of hi hat amounts and
That'll do nothing. There, it properly ruined your song.
thank you. Um, the drums are pretty cool. Let me think of where one of the cowbells are.
You
I have
didn't
to remember.
bookmark the cowbell?
I know. There's some in
That would have been the first thing I would have bookmarked.
zero D on track 1. It's a bookmark. It's not the top one. Yeah, there you go. So
I don't
there's
know.
my
You got the
cowbell.
yoys. That's a pretty good bookmark.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
So I modeled it right after the 808 cowbell. I looked at a bunch of paper stuff talking about the specific frequencies that you needed. So I did the math and figured it out. It's just 2 pulse waves, and going through a bandpass filter, and you ping it, and then I added some amp and noise to add some of the transients that I couldn't get because I think on the 808 its bandpass is narrower or something. It's a little different. So I added a couple things just to
It
make
very
it
well
sound
should be
more.
different.
Yeah, yeah. So
It's just tweaking and molding to get it to sound the way you think
yeah,
it should sound. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and you'll notice on a lot of my patches, especially for the percussive stuff, I actually put in a note value in the name because that's where I found it to be like to work the best. Some of
I
them
see.
you can use. Yeah,
That's smart.
yeah. So I include it. So a lot of the patch names are actually maxed out in length, which is I did my best to make sure that it was as readable as possible.
Yeah. What I've done in the past was try to make C4 my default, and then in the table, I would just like, transpose,
Yeah,
transpose it to
actually,
the right value in table, so that way you would know that C4, the default note, was like
I
the.
I, I think I did with that with some of them. I should have done it with all of them, but
Well, it depends, right? Like if you were using
yeah,
this column, then you can't
right,
necessarily do that. Yeah.
yeah. So
That
that's
was
why
kind of
you
my hack workaround to like make it work. uh,
so
each their own.
there are more instruments and presets than just in this song. Um, there's like hoovers, there's little gated saw, like a gated trance saw. Um, yeah, we can go through it. Um, yeah, there's a little rave pack there.
Oh wow. Okay. So this is the instruments used in this song,
Yes,
and
yes. So
then
there's only like
and then you threw in a
a whole.
whole another group of presets.
Yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
so there's a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, yeah. There's way more than just that. Yeah. Bunch of basses, some leads, some arps. I was gonna add some more,
This is the only one that
but
matters, by the way.
yeah, yeah. It's cool as you could adjust the LFO frequency to get your different yo-yo speeds. So yeah, you got different donks. Yeah, just some.
I'm flipping through these. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
I
no,
just
no, you're good. Yeah, these are all patches that I've used in a bunch of my tracks and stuff that I liked, and I cleaned them up and tried to optimize them for other people. Yeah,
it almost reminds me of like a speak and spell.
yeah. Just
And of
some
course, this is playing
cool
the
sounds.
default pitch of C4. So yeah.
Yeah, I did optimize some of them to work at C4, like you were talking about with the transpose.
Yeah. I think that's why that's my default is like just a because if I don't do that, then I'll forget what the like I've done that before too. Like designed a snare, and then it's like at
Hmm.
some obscure note where it sounds like to me it sounds great, and then I forget like I listen to it later and I'm like, why does it sound like crap? Oh, it's like pitched way far down.
I just realized I have 2 bug themed patch names in this one. It's good.
This is the beta patch. So it has some bugs. That's my joke.
It does.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Here's all the different percussive stuff. I tried to label the ones that I could.
Yeah, this is a perfect example of like the cowbell sounds like not correct at the C4
Yeah,
value.
yeah. That's definitely why. Yeah, for those I'd have the notes. So.
That sounds nothing like a cowbell. Yay, presets. This is cool. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for sharing. This is great.
yeah.
Oh, I don't know why it's clipping, but that sounds amazing. Hold on. I'm going to load it in. Why is it clipping?
Yeah, this one's fun. It's
Hold on.
it has some pitch slide built right in, and so it just kind of lazily slides around. I guess that's why I decided to call it lazy.
Oh, I see.
It's in the table, so you can adjust it if you really want.
Cool. Awesome. Wonder why I'm clipping all the time. Is that just my volume? Or for them from this track, maybe. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Wow, there's a lot of table action going on that one. Yeah, this one has a lot of fun stuff. Look at all that fun stuff going on.
It just looks like math to me. I can't read it.
I think yeah, I just added some additional envelopes on top of the normal ones. And I love seeing the little... Look at those little squares go.
I ruined it. Ruined it all.
Good. Good. Yeah.
Cool.
I was hoping to make some more, but I ran out of time and I got bored. Or not bored, I got lazy. Excuse me.
You got lazy by doing something.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Sounds like the opposite of lazy to me.
Yeah, I will drop that in the chat, and I will change the RAR into a zip, so I don't have to torture people.
And for future people, I will include Mikey's presets as a pack on the SD card. So if anybody else, again, this is a friendly reminder because we are approaching our limit. If you have presets you want to share, please feel free to reach out to me because I'd love to have them on the stock SD card that ships out with the M8. I have some, but there's never enough. So I created I don't know if it's on this SD card. Hold on, let me go to the default folder, instruments. So yeah, and this is the default instruments folder that'll be on the SD card when you get your M8 if you did a pre-order. And inside here, there's a directory called packs, and I'm planning on filling this thing out with anybody's submitted stuff. So if you ever see a folder called packs, that's what it is. It's for user-submitted packages. So at the very minimum, at least they have some credit in the form of 13 characters in a subdirectory. Sorry, I'm so cynical. But yeah, thank you so much for doing that. I'm excited to play with some of those presets, especially the 303 and the cowbell.
Happy to help.
Oops. Do I want to delete? Yes. All right. So should we move on to the next track or submission? I guess Mikey's was more of a preset pack, which is sweet. I just need more preset packs. Can everybody do the work so I don't have to? Sorry, I'm just kidding. I have to transfer one extra bundle because somebody sent me one last minute. You know who you are, Tom. And somebody else. Whoa. So we got at least 4 tracks now, which is awesome. Y'all just give me a minute. I'm transferring files to my SD card. And yeah, thanks so much, Mikey. I really appreciate those presets. They are pretty awesome, and I can't wait to dig through them.
Yeah, glad you liked them. I just dropped it off in resources for anyone who's interested. Includes the demo track that was played alongside an additional folder with the presets. So you can play with them, use them. I'd love to see what y'all come up with by using them.
Be sweet too with the whole packs thing to be able to do like, all right, everybody use like stuff from this specific pack to like create a song and then do like a little compilation, type
That's
of
such a
projects.
good idea.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I really like that idea.
I would even do one because I need motivation to actually work on music. I need an excuse. Give me an excuse. All right. Eject. Oh, I see. I was trying to eject the drive and it wasn't because it was still copying. Somebody's bundle uses a lot of samples. I could point fingers, but I'm not going to. All right. Again, thank you everybody who submitted a track. Really appreciated. Despite my sarcastic tone. Let's see, whose song should we play? Maybe this one? Apologies if I get your name wrong. You could correct me in the comments. This is Krang Bay with First Resort. Did we play this one before? Sorry, I need to turn up the volume too. Did I read this wrong? Or are we good? No, this is new. Okay. You want it louder. I know. awesome. I love some of the synth work in this. That was great. Thanks so much for submitting it. Again, that was Crane Bay with First Resort. You look at my notes. This is DJ Disc Machine, sorry, with Man Wredface. It was the radio edit that I manually faded down. Thanks so much for submitting that track. That again was DJ Disc Machine with Man Wredface. This next song is by 10K, and it's called Swim School. That was amazing. Thank you so much for submitting that. That again was 10K with Swim School. And if you could see here, there's some FEs, which means there's magic past this point, and I won't press play there. Okay. Boop, boop, doop. Ignore that didn't exist. I guess, let's see if I have it. I do. This is A Rival with Ryrie FM.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yes, it's Re.
It's Ryrie.
It's just Re.
It's
Re, but I put the punctuate or the parentheses so you know how to pronounce it.
I don't know how to pronounce even if you tell me.
Okay, fine. God darn it. Okay. Yeah, this is another all FM.
Awesome.
And I didn't use a voice this time, so it's all FM. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. I was going to fade it out, and I decided not to. Yeah, that was amazing. Thanks so much for sharing it. I realized that track 8 wasn't playing at some point, and I don't know what I did to make that happen. But I'm sure it's my fault somewhere.
It's that top on track 8, the very top chain is missing. So when you launched it, it still didn't play.
I didn't notice. Fixed. Should we replay it from the start? It would only be fair. I'm open to, let's take a panel. Everybody's saying yes. Okay, we're going to play it from the top. Sorry about that. I don't know if I hit a key or whatever happened. Let's do it again. Thank you so much for submitting that track. I'm pretty sure all the channels played correctly at the time, unless I'm missing something. Oh, look at that. Looks like 4 or 5 of the tracks didn't play correctly from the beginning. We're going to have to play it again. I'm just kidding. Thanks again. That was A Rival with Re. Should I also say _FM? Or...
It's pronounced Ryrie.
That was amazing. Like that drop was just too intense. Such a good job with that. Anyways, I think that's it for this meetup, everyone. I really appreciate everybody being here and submitting songs. Thank you, Mikey, for the new presets. Yeah. As you all know, I am working tirelessly on getting those units out to you if you're waiting for your pre-order. Yeah, I'm always around if you have any questions, so feel free to ping. And yeah, just want to say thank you one more time for everybody hanging out. Really appreciate it. Have a good rest of your weekend, everybody. See ya.
Bye-bye.
See you in 2 weeks.